Minister to my class last month. Only 25% of them viewed Congress favorably. And believe it or not, that's optimistic compared to the rest of this country. As according to a 2016 Gallup article, only 20% of Americans view Congress favorably. And this year, it reached a low of 13%. So obviously, I will be talking about Congress in my speech, but in particular, more specifically, I will be talking about a practical solution to this issue, which is congressional term limits. As a political science major here at Clemson, I've studied political science as well as this issue very closely, and I feel like this is a good solution. And whether you like it or not, this is very, very important to everyone in this room. Whether you've been disillusioned by the election cycle or annoyed with the product that Congress, executive, legislative, whatever branch gives to you, this will still be very relevant to you despite your feelings. So, Congress has many issues, but the most easy and practical fix to the issue of congressional complacency are congressional term limits. So to begin, the easiest part of my speech, which will be that Congress is a broken system and it has a problem that we have to fix. And this problem can be narrowed down most bestly to congressional inactivity. According to a 2016 GovTrack article, Congress has clearly showed that they have become complacent with their jobs. As in 2000, the Congress that lasted for 2 years in 2000 passed 604 laws. But now, only a decade later, since 2011, no two-year Congress has passed more than 300 laws. This is a staggering decline in the output and activity of Congress, and something that must be fixed. And the extent of this problem runs even deeper, as congressmen and women are actively trying to limit the amount of bills that are passed into laws in this country and trying to limit the speech and limit the constituency's power in getting things done in Washington. According to a 2012 Washington Post article by Dylan Matthews, there were 17 bills alone that year that were specifically stopped by the filibuster. And these bills came from both sides of the aisle, whether it was Republican, Democrat, or even bipartisan. And what we have to see here is that Congress is working completely against the job that it's supposed to have as the legislative branch, which is to legislate and pass laws for this country. And with polarization getting worse and worse by the year, as well as Congress getting worse and worse at doing their jobs, the status quo must be fixed. Secondly, I will talk about the causes of this problem, because knowing the causes of this problem is imperative to finding the solution. And these causes are two-pronged. First, we can look at the re-election process and see that that is a huge problem and contributes to congressional inactivity. According to the same survey I administered to my class, only 12.5% of my class viewed the campaign finance system favorably. And it is clear why this is the case, as the campaign finance system is also completely broken in our society. According to a 60 Minutes article by Nora O'Donnell from this year, that is entitled, "Are Congressmen Becoming Telemarketers?" A congressman stepped forward and said that congressmen spend 30 hours per week getting finances and campaigning and trying to raise money for their upcoming elections. This is a staggering number. And what that means is that congressmen are spending more time actually trying to run for re-election than actually doing their jobs. It is a common stigma that the #1 job of an elected official is to get re-elected. And we now have proof of this. And the second problem is incumbency advantage. An incumbent, if you did not know, is a politician who is running for a post that they already inhabit and they already have. For example, in 2012, Barack Obama was the incumbent to the presidency. He was running against Mitt Romney. Now, incumbency advantage is a huge problem as the people of the United States continue to elect incumbents at a high rate, despite the fact that Congress is a broken system, as we've described. Due to franking privilege, travel allowances, and media privilege, all three of these things contribute to incumbents having a huge, huge advantage over any challenger that comes along. And according to PolitiFact, this issue really runs deep, as 96.4% of the incumbents in the United States in the 2014 election were re-elected. despite at the time Congress having an 11% approval rating. And this is unbelievable when you first look at it. But when you look at the fact that people like their respective congressmen but don't like Congress as a whole and continue to put the same people into the job that are failing, we can really see how this problem is exacerbated. And this problem it will continue for the upcoming years, and the status quo must change. So now that we've seen the problems and the causes of congressional inactivity, we can look at a great solution to these problems, which would be congressional term limits. My proposal would be to have 4 terms in the House and 2 terms in the Senate, which would make 8 years in the House and 12 years in the Senate, the maximum years that could be served. And this would have a very low cost of implementation, as all that would change is the election process. Now, to the ironic part of my speech, in order to get this done, it would have to go through Congress. And as I've said, this is a very, very daunting task. But fret not, because it is more likely than ever that this could happen. As according to termlimits.org, many congressmen support this issue prominently, as well as the president-elect Donald Trump, who has been a huge supporter of this big one. So this is a very simple change, and it would definitely lessen both of the causes of the problem that I stated, as there would be less emphasis on re-election, as many senators and House representatives would not have the opportunity to be re-elected. And also, it would be a huge check against incumbency advantage. And more good news to this cause is support for this is at an all-time high, as once again, according to Gallup, 75% of American people are in favor of this policy change. And if we continue to advocate for this change and continue to advocate and hold our congressmen and women accountable, this change could occur. So to conclude, the most practical and easy, simple fix to the issues that I've laid out is congressional term limits. It would lessen the money influence that congressmen are now succumb to, while increasing turnover in congressmen and increasing productivity. And back to my in-class survey, and this was a very surprising stat to me. Only 37.5% of the students I surveyed were in favor of congressional term limits. But the vast majority of people who said they weren't in favor of it was because they had no opinion formulated. And if we just continue to spread this issue and spread this solution, as we are continuing to get more and more support for it, I think we can change Washington for the better.